I want to tell you about the most important milestone in your financial life. It's not your first million, it's not your first $100,000, it's $10,000. I know that sounds almost too simple, too small, too ordinary, but I've been in finance for 35 years. I've worked at Goldman Sachs, I've managed hedge funds, I've advised some of the wealthiest families in the world. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, the moment you save $10,000, your entire life changes, not just financially, psychologically, emotionally, fundamentally. So before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. What I'm about to share isn't just theory, it's the practical framework that separates people who build wealth from people who struggle their entire lives. Let's get into it. The invisible line. Why $10,000 is different. Most people think about money in terms of income. How much do you make? That's the question everyone asks, but here's what I learned at Goldman Sachs, working with some of the smartest macro thinkers in the world. Income is not wealth. Income is a flow. It comes in, it goes out. Wealth is a stock. It accumulates, it compounds, it works for you while you sleep. And $10,000 is the threshold where you cross from one world into the other. Below $10,000 in savings, you're playing defense. You're reacting to life. Every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Every financial decision is constrained by scarcity. Above $10,000, something shifts. You start playing offense. You have options, and options in finance and in life are extraordinarily valuable. The psychological transformation. From survival to strategy, let me tell you what actually happens in your brain when you hit $10,000. I've seen this pattern thousands of times. It happened to me. It's happened to every successful investor I know. When you have nothing saved, your brain is in survival mode. The amygdala, the fear center of your brain, is constantly activated. Every unexpected bill, every job uncertainty, every economic headline triggers a stress response. And here's the problem. You can't think clearly when you're in survival mode. Your cognitive bandwidth is consumed by worry. You make short-term decisions because the long-term feels like a luxury you can't afford. But when you accumulate $10,000, your nervous system finally relaxes. For the first time, you have a buffer between you and the chaos of life. A car repair doesn't become a crisis. A medical bill doesn't mean choosing between rent and food. That buffer creates something precious, mental space. And with that mental space, you can finally start thinking strategically about your future. The math that changes everything. Let me show you the math, because the math is where it gets really interesting. Most people think wealth building is linear. You save $100, you have $100. You save $1,000, you have $1,000. It's not linear, it's exponential, and $10,000 is where the exponential curve starts to become visible. Here's what I mean. Let's say you save $10,000 and invest it in a diversified portfolio. Let's say 70% Nasdaq 100, 30% Bitcoin, which is roughly what I recommend to people just starting out. Even at conservative returns, here's what happens. Year 1, $10,000 grows to approximately $11,500 year 5. $10,000 grows to approximately $20,000 year 10. $10,000 grows to approximately $40,000 year 20. $10,000 grows to approximately $160,000. Year 30. $10,000 grows to approximately $640,000. That's right, $10,000 left alone and compounded can become over $500,000. But here's the critical insight most people miss. It's not just that $10,000 compounds, it's that saving $10,000 proves to yourself that you can save. And that psychological proof is worth more than the money itself. The habit flywheel. Why the first $10,000 is the hardest. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, once said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch." He's right, but he's also talking about a different era. Today, I'd argue the more important milestone is $10,000, because $10,000 is where you build the habits. Think about what it takes to save $10. 000. You have to spend less than you earn. You have to delay gratification. You have to say no to impulse purchases. You have to automate your savings. You have to think about money as a tool rather than a toy. These are habits, and once you've built them, once you've proven to yourself that you can save $10,000, the habits carry forward. The second $10,000 is easier than the first. The third $10,000 is easier than the second. And eventually, you're saving money without even thinking about it. This is what I call the habit flywheel, and $10,000 is what starts it spinning. The 11% problem. Why saving in cash isn't enough now. I need to give you a warning. Saving $10,000 is critical, but saving $10,000 and leaving it in a bank account is a mistake. Here's why. Every year, your money in the bank is losing value. Most people think inflation is 2-3. That's the government number. But the actual cost of living, housing, healthcare, education, food is going up 5-6 per year. Add in what I call currency debasement, the gradual erosion of purchasing power as governments print more money, and you're really losing about 11% per year. Let me say that again. If your money is sitting in a bank account earning 0.1, your future self is getting poorer by approximately 11% every single year. This is why I pound the table on investing. $10,000 in a bank account in 10 years equals effectively $3,500 in today's purchasing power. $10. 000 invested in productive assets in 10 years equals $40,000 or more. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between struggle and freedom, what $10,000 actually buys you. The three options: once you have $10,000, you have something most people don't have. Options. Let me break down the three most important options $10,000 gives you. Option 1. The emergency buffer first. $10,000 is approximately 3 to 6 months of basic expenses for most people. This means if you lose your job, you don't have to panic. You don't have to take the first terrible opportunity that comes along just to pay rent. You can be strategic. You can look for the right opportunity. You can negotiate from a position of strength rather than desperation. I've seen so many people accept bad jobs, bad deals, bad situations because they had no financial buffer. They had no options. They were trapped. $10,000 breaks that trap. Option 2. The investment foundation second. $10,000 is enough to start building a real investment portfolio. Below $10,000, the transaction costs and minimum investments make it hard to diversify properly. Above $10,000, you can open a proper brokerage account. You can buy ETFs. You can allocate a portion to crypto. You can start building the asset base that will compound for decades. This is where the game really changes. Option 3. The opportunity fund third, and this is the one most people don't think about. $10,000 gives you the ability to take calculated risks. What if a business opportunity comes along? What if you see a chance to invest in something at the ground floor? What if you want to quit your job and spend 3 months building a side project? Without savings, these opportunities pass you by. You can see them, but you can't reach them. With $10,000, you can actually act. This is how wealth is really built, not through steady salaries, but through strategic deployment of capital when opportunities arise. The Raoul framework, how to actually get to $10,000. Okay, so you understand why $10,000 matters. Let me tell you how to get there. This is the framework I share with people who are just starting their wealth building journey. Step 1. Know your number first. You need to know exactly how much you're earning and spending. Most people have no idea. They know roughly what their paycheck is, but they don't track where the money goes. Track every expense for 30 days, every coffee, every subscription, everything. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. You can't optimize what you don't measure. Step 2, find the leaks. Once you know where your money goes, you'll find the leaks. I guarantee it. Subscriptions you forgot about, spending categories that are way higher than you thought, lifestyle inflation that crept up without you noticing. The average person I talk to finds $200,500 per month in spending they can reduce without meaningfully impacting their quality of life. That's $2,406,000 per year. That alone gets you halfway to $10,000. Step 3, pay yourself first. This is the most important rule in personal finance. Before you pay any bill, before you buy anything, before you do anything with your paycheck, move money to savings. Automate this. Set up a direct transfer from your checking account to your savings account the day your paycheck hits. If you wait until the end of the month to save what's left over, there will never be anything left over. Pay yourself first. Always. Step 4. Increase income relentlessly. Here's what I told myself in my 20s. And I'll tell you the same thing. The first part of the wealth game is income. Work hard. Learn constantly. Become an expert at something valuable. Compete with yourself to be the best you can be. Your 20s are not for work-life balance, they're for building the foundation that everything else stands on. I'm not saying burn yourself out, I'm saying invest in yourself like your future depends on it, because it does. Side hustles, freelancing, skill development, asking for raises, switching jobs for better opportunities, all of this matters. Every extra dollar you earn is a dollar that can compound for decades. Step 5. Timeline it finally. Put a deadline on it. $10,000 in 12 months is $833 per month. $10,000. In 18 months is $556 per month. $10,000 in 24 months is $417 per month. Which timeline is realistic for you? Pick one. Write it down. Track your progress monthly. Goals without deadlines are just wishes. What to do after you hit $10,000? Let's say you hit $10,000. Congratulations. Now what? This is where most people go wrong. They either stop saving because they made it or they get paralyzed by options. Here's the simple framework I recommend. Keep $5,000 in cash. This is your emergency fund. High-yield savings account. Don't touch it unless there's an actual emergency. This is your sleep well at night money. Invest the other $5,000. Here's the allocation I recommend for beginners. 70% Nasdaq 100 ETF QQ or equivalent. This gives you exposure to the best technology and growth companies in America. Low cost, diversified, set it and forget it. 30% Bitcoin. I know this is controversial, but I've been in macro investing for 35 years, and I believe Bitcoin is the best asymmetric bet available to regular people. Bitcoin has grown at roughly 150% per year since inception. Even if that slows dramatically, it's still likely to outperform traditional assets. You don't need to understand every technical detail. Just understand this. In a world of infinite money printing, assets that are truly scarce like Bitcoin tend to go up in value. The mindset shift. From consumer to owner. Here's the deepest change that happens when you save $10,000. You stop being a consumer and start being an owner. Consumers exchange their time for money, then exchange their money for stuff. Owners exchange their time for money, then use their money to buy assets that generate more money. This is the fundamental difference between people who build wealth and people who don't, and it starts at $10,000. When you have $10,000 invested, you own a tiny piece of the global economy. You own shares in companies that employ people, build products, generate profits. Those companies work for you 24/7 while you sleep. That mental shift from trading time for stuff to owning assets that work for you is worth more than any specific investment strategy. The exponential age advantage. Let me add one more layer to this. We're living in what I call the exponential age. Technology is advancing faster than at any point in human history. AI, blockchain, biotech, robotics, these technologies are compounding on each other, creating opportunities that simply didn't exist before. In this environment, having capital, even just $10,000, is more valuable than ever. Why? Because you can invest in these exponential trends. You can own pieces of the companies building the future. 100 years ago, building wealth required either inheritance or building a business from scratch. Today, with $10,000 and a smartphone, you can own shares in the most innovative companies on the planet. You can own Bitcoin. You can participate in the greatest wealth creation machine never invented, global capital markets. This is the democratization of wealth building, and it starts at $10,000. The compounding life. I want to leave you with one final thought. What I've described in this video isn't just about money. It's about compounding, and compounding applies to everything. Your knowledge compounds. What you learn today builds on what you learned yesterday. Your relationships compound. The connections you nurture deepen over time. Your skills compound. The abilities you develop become more valuable as they layer on top of each other. Your health compounds. The habits you build today determine your vitality decades from now. Money is just the most visible example of compounding, but once you understand the principle, you start applying it everywhere. $10,000 is a milestone, but it's more than that. It's proof that you understand compounding. It's proof that you can delay gratification. It's proof that you're thinking long-term. And people who think long-term tend to win. Final thoughts, so let me recap what I've shared with you today. $10,000 is the most important financial milestone because it creates psychological safety. Your brain shifts from survival mode to strategic mode. It proves you can save. The habits that got you there will carry you further. It gives you options: emergency buffer, investment foundation, opportunity fund. It starts the compounding process. $10,000 invested today could be $640,000 in 30 years. It transforms your identity from consumer to owner. The first $10,000 is the hardest, but it's also the most important. Because once you cross that threshold, you're no longer hoping for a better financial future. You're building one. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below telling me where you are on your journey to $10,000 or what you did with your first $10,000 once you got there. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe they're struggling. Maybe they think wealth building is only for rich people. Show them it starts with just $10,000. And remember, the exponential age rewards those who start early and think long. Start now. I'll see you in the next one.